the one camera system, which is in itself really good. I was the iPhone SE user. I used to have iPhone SE second generation model phone, and I used to shoot a lot. I think if you go and see my first couple of podcasts, you can see that it is recording. It was recorded on iPhone SE, so it is kind of have a good video recording quality. It is like, if you have good lighting, you will definitely get amazing photos compared to compare not compared but comparing to what other price section there or other phones is. Like, it is not just comparable, it is dominating in those, like it is that good with those one cameras too, that at that price range what I'm talking about. So it is itself and it's good. They remove the basically the thumb fingerprint basic. So in iPhone SE, the previous generation, second and third, or even first, it was fingerprint sensor. Again, it was model after iPhone 8. So now they have totally removed it. It looks like an iPhone 11 body with the face ID, which again was a totally like they I think Apple wanted to create a basically a budget phone, because what they were offering on the main phone basically, it's like what all companies do. It's just that Apple didn't have their budget phone for last 2 years. The last phone, iPhone SE third generation, was launched in 2022. After that, there were no budget phones being sold by Apple. The only budget phone Apple was being sold was, I think, when they introduced their Plus models in the iPhone launch event. And it the reason that it was not in the budget, I think, is because I think it again the pricing. See, the whole point of budget phones are basically you are getting compact, a really good phone, a solid phone at a good amount of price. So if you don't need those high-end specification phone that Pro has, you don't need those three cameras, you don't need the five cameras that Samsung has. They always introduce a budget phone that everyone can have and everyone can basically just use that. So Apple didn't have, I think, those phones, and people used to love iPhone SE, not just because it is small, and not just because it is good at what it does. It's because it is in their budget. It was, I think, it's starting at 499, and it used to sold at, I think, 429, I think, at that time at the launch. And the thing with those phone where it was budget, it was something different, because it was modeled after one of the most popular iPhone 8s. So people like small phones too, but it was small, budget friendly, a good camera system, uh, whole day battery life if you are a casual user, and it is in your budget. So it has kind of a great five basic solid things that all people need, and you are right about it. And they were so good on that. People really love those phone, because it has those five things in it. But the problem occurred when it wasn't a long-term solution for people. So basically, when people buy phones, they are not changing every year like every other tech YouTuber, or every other, like let's say I am using 15 Pro right now. It could go like 2 to 3 years from now. So, or even 4 years. It like people are still to this day using iPhone 11, iPhone X, iPhone 12, even after 3 years from its launch, and Apple still to this day supports the latest iOS features to it, because they know that these phones are capable of it doing it. That's why they are using it. But with the problem that occurred with the SE series, I think was the major issue was the battery. The second major issue was the performance. So whenever the battery issues occur, then it's definitely is going to got affected by the performance issue. So basically what happens whenever there is the battery gets degraded, you can go and see your battery health, and whenever that gets low, your phone performance eventually gets slow. My iPhone SE did happen to that too. It's like my last battery health check I did was 75%. It was, and it literally died at the day I changed to this iPhone 15 Pro that I'm recording right now. So you can see that the battery percentage, battery health is so important in a phone, that with that small amount of battery it used to get so low, and it wasn't a good long-term solution for the people. And the people who are buying the phones in the mid-range budget range phones, they don't want just a phone. They don't, like, they need a phone which could last minimum a 1 day phone with the one charge, because they are using it outside, they are using it more, let's say, people who are working at construction sites, people who are working at offices, people who are working, you know, people who uses those phones need to be for a long-term solution. Not those people, not all people can afford or even can buy every year to go into those hassles. So that was kind of a drawbacks of not just that phone, but also 13 minis that got launched. I think the mini phone, the iPhone mini series, the reason why the people that like small phones, even though they like small phones, it has not a good, like you can say, output as you invest in them, because again the battery issue could occur at least after 1 year of usage of it. So that was the main issue. Then I think Apple really played well with this iPhone 16e, where they wanted to have a budget friendly phone, but they wanted to give every basic solid five things that I think, not just like solid, like, if you can just see, like, the phone is bigger, so the battery will be bigger. Now it is again one camera system. They obviously well thought about it. It's like people like just need to have a good camera system, rather than it's, if it's two, if it's one, most of the people don't care. It's ultimately if it's taking a really good photos, and that camera that they have put on is does take really good photos. And even if it was just the same as like iPhone SE third generation, I would not be surprised, because it was a really solid phone, really solid camera with it. So it is really solid camera, a big screen. Now with big screen, big phone, big battery, it is kind of a phone that being used by the budget friendly. You can go and compare that whole scenario I've talked about, what budget friendly is, can be applied to all budget phones that Samsung launched, even Google Pixels launched. Like Pixel has their A series, which is budget friendly. Samsung has multiple series. Their A series, they're like mid-range series. Then their M series, their budget series. Then there is like so much multiple series that Samsung has aside from S, which is their flagship series. So what I'm trying to say is here, they all phones try to nail, they don't try to go and make small mini phones. And Apple wanted to make a good budget friendly phone there, I think, because they wanted to have that launch, because they wanted to have that phone in their whole lineup, because they didn't have for last 2 years, and they were missing the whole market there, because people love SE. Even if it was not good, people loved it for different reasons. Some people love it for form factor, some people love it for budget friendly, but they wanted to get a phone out that can be used for, even if it's a new audience, even if they don't like the whole model, at least people who can get that, have that budget friend, I think budget friendly section that they can get is like, that phone is a great choice for them. Maybe because if lots of people in the group are using iPhone, that they can get into Apple with that price range, I think was there. I think that was their thinking, I think, when they were going to launch this phone. Ultimately it was a good decision, I think, from Apple in the end. mm, because the small phones has, even though people love it, I personally do love the small phones too, to use it. And but the problem with the small phones will occur is that they are not long-term good phones. It's like they do get have some difficult problems, like there is so much that you can again compact in that one phone, that one small phone. There is so much that you can do in just one small phone. So I think that it was a good choice to just not go with the mini iPhone, or even the new older iPhone 8 model, that what SC was doing. So they just did what other companies are doing, like removing MagSafe. That I think a lot of people will be disappointed, but again, not everyone. I know it just feels like at 599 it feels like again kind of an big deal, like at the price point what you're trying to give us, it is not that, again, not that good. But again, I was just thinking quite like past couple of days, like, do I even use, even if I have MagSafe right now? No. It's, then I think they do have their own numbers in their hand. It's like even if I am using 15 Pro, even if I have MagSafe on my phones, it's like I don't even use it for majority of the time. So uh, I get, they just got in the most, Apple just did take those most proven formula done by the other companies that are doing for like past 5 to 6 years, and they just did implement in their iPhone 16e. And here we have a new iPhone 16e phone, which is new budget friendly lineup. But one thing they did was actually really good. But it, I think we will see its kind of an uh, much more later implications of it, what it will be in the much more bigger sense in the next models that you can see. So they introduce their own modem in this. So let's talk about that. I think they call it this C1. So they just introduce their new and their own made C1 chips basically. So what it means is like it's their own modem.